The Shadows of the Past, The Journey to Light. Once upon a time, there was a man named James who had spent years trapped in a toxic relationship with a woman named Veronica. Veronica had once been the love of his life, but over time, her heart had been consumed by darkness, bitterness, and envy. She had sought to control James, to break him, and even to strip him of everything he owned, including his peace. James had finally found the strength to walk away, to free himself from the shackles of a love that had long since turned into poison. He had moved on, finding solace in his faith, rebuilding his life piece by piece. He had prayed for peace, for healing, and for a future filled with light instead of shadows. But Veronica was not willing to let him go so easily. She had plotted, schemed, and even tried to take his home, believing that if she left him broken, he would return to her out of despair. She stalked him, tried to manipulate him, and even attempted to lure him back into her web of deceit. But James stood firm. He knew he had walked away for a reason, and he had found a new home not just in the physical sense, but within himself and in God. One by one, Veronica's plans unraveled. She had tried to rob James of his joy, but instead, the darkness she cast upon him only reflected back onto her own life. She lost her own stability, her home, and even her sense of control. She had thought she could dictate James' destiny, but instead, she found herself lost in a storm of her own making. As James thrived, Veronica spiraled. She surrounded herself with people who encouraged her worst instincts, people who thrived on chaos. But no matter how much she sought revenge, James' spirit remained unshaken. His faith had become his armor. Each time she tried to harm him, he prayed. Each time she schemed, he found comfort in Scripture. Each time she sent darkness his way, it was returned to her tenfold. One day, as James sat in his new home, he reflected on his journey. He had once believed that revenge and anger would be the answers to his pain, but as he had surrendered his struggles to God, he realized the only way to truly win was to let go. He forgave Veronica, not because she deserved it, but because his soul needed to be free from the chains of resentment. Meanwhile, Veronica continued to chase after destruction, refusing to change. She blamed James, blamed the world, and never looked inward. She rejected the very thing that could have saved her faith. She had always scoffed at the idea of God, refusing to believe in anything but her own control. And so, she suffered alone, trapped in the very darkness she had wished upon James. The lesson. James' story is a reminder that healing is a choice, and stepping into faith requires courage. He chose to walk away from darkness and into the light, even when it was painful, even when he was tempted to fight back. By surrendering his battles to God, he found peace. Veronica, on the other hand, clung to anger, control, and manipulation. She refused to heal, refused to learn, and ultimately, it was her own bitterness that consumed her. If you find yourself holding onto pain, anger, or a past that no longer serves you, take a lesson from James. Step out of the shadows, walk toward God, and trust that what is meant for you will never require you to fight battles that are not yours to fight. Healing begins with faith, and faith begins when you let go and trust the journey ahead. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty.